3 shots rang out in the scorching desert. 3 dark figures fell in the blink of an eye. Only 12 seconds. The woman of color with her hair tied tightly, sharp eyes, dropped her medical bag to pick up the SR-25 rifle. The eagle tattoo on her arm flashed under the gunfire. But who is she? This story has never been recorded in official files. A secret about hidden strength, about equality and sacrifice. Stay to discover how one woman's courage shattered barriers of race and gender, proving that in America's promise of justice for all, anyone can rise to protect those they love. In the quiet hum of a military base far from home, this is the everyday world of Naomi Carter, a dedicated battlefield medic whose skin bears the rich hue of her ancestors' resilience. Born into the dusty backroads of rural Georgia, where poverty clung like the humid summer air, Naomi learned early that life demanded grit and grace in equal measure. Now 28, she's a single mother to little Elijah Jr., her bright-eyed 5-year-old boy with a laugh that could melt the sternest heart. Every deployment means heart-wrenching goodbyes at the airport, where she kneels to hug him tight, whispering, "Mommy's going to help the brave soldiers, just like Grandpa did. Be good for Nana, okay?" She leaves him with her mother, the steadfast grandmother who raised Naomi through lean times, sacrificing precious family moments to answer the call of duty. It's a quiet ache she carries, the pull between healing strangers on the front lines and tucking her son into bed with stories of heroes past. But Naomi knows sacrifice. It's woven into her blood, a legacy from a father who taught her that true strength lies in lifting others, even when the world tries to hold you down. Her father, Elijah Sr., was a man of unyielding spirit, a black veteran who served in the jungles of Vietnam, dodging bullets and dreams deferred. He came home to a country that hailed him a hero in words but denied him in deeds, refused medical care for his war wounds simply because of the color of his skin, as if his blood spilled overseas wasn't red like everyone else's. Naomi remembers those evenings by the flickering fireside in their modest shotgun house, the scent of pine smoke mingling with the warmth of his voice. "Daughter," he'd say, his eyes distant yet determined, "this society isn't fair yet. We've got miles to go before we sleep in that promised land. But you fight for change, just like I marched in the civil rights movement alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He told us, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." Those words, etched into her soul like scripture, fueled Naomi's fire. They reminded her of the marches her father joined, the sit-ins and speeches that echoed through Selma and Atlanta, pushing for a nation where equality before the law wasn't just a dream, but a reality. In a world still shadowed by prejudice, those stories proved to her that everyone, man or woman, black or white, has a chance to contribute, to build a society where justice rolls down like waters, regardless of gender or skin color. Inspired by her father's unbowed pride, Naomi chose a path of healing over harm. She enlisted in the military not to wield weapons, but to mend the broken, graduating at the top of her medical class with hands so steady they seemed guided by an unseen force. Those skillful fingers had already saved dozens of soldiers' lives, stitching wounds under the glare of field lights, administering life-saving fluids amid the chaos of evacuations. She approached each patient with a mother's tenderness, whispering encouragements like, "Hang in there, soldier. You've got folks waiting for you back home, just like my little Eli waits for me." At the SEAL compound, a rugged outpost buzzing with the energy of elite warriors, she was known simply as Doc Carter. Her days blurred into a rhythm of meticulous care, logging every injury in her worn notebook, analyzing bullet types for patterns, calculating shooting angles to predict complications, and spotting signs of infection before they could take root. It was more than a job, it was her calling. A way to honor her father's sacrifices by ensuring no one else suffered the neglect he had. Her teammates were a diverse bunch, reflecting the mosaic of America itself. White soldiers from the Midwest, Latin comrades from the Southwest, all bound by the brotherhood of the SEALs. Yet even in this band of brothers, old prejudices lingered like ghosts. They'd tease her lightly at first, but the barbs cut deep. "Hey, Doc, stick to the bandages. You're not a warrior like us." Or during downtime as they cleaned their gear under the relentless sun, someone might chuckle, Carter's our patch-up queen. Leave the real fighting to the boys." That prejudice stung, a reminder that gender and racial discrimination hadn't vanished with the civil rights acts her father fought for. It echoed the whispers she'd heard growing up, the sidelong glances in school or stores, questioning if a black girl from the wrong side of the tracks could ever amount to more. But Naomi bore it with quiet dignity, knowing her worth wasn't defined by their words. She saw the team as her extended family, diverse and imperfect, much like the nation they served, a place where equality before the law meant everyone, from every background, could stand tall. Yet, beneath her composed exterior, Naomi carried a talisman of her past, a simple bullet casing necklace, dangling from a thin chain under her uniform. She touched it absent-mindedly during stressful moments, like when a patient's fever spiked or orders came down for another high-risk op. Its cool metal grounded her, a silent reminder of something deeper, though its origin remained shrouded for now. Flashes of childhood memories would surface then, lazy afternoons by the slow-moving Georgia River, the sun dappling through oak leaves as she, her father, and brother Marcus practiced hunting, the air thick with the scent of earth and gun oil, Dad's strong hands guiding her aim. Justice doesn't discriminate by skin color, Naomi. It sees the heart. Marcus, her protective older brother with a grin as wide as the horizon, would add, "You'll be an eagle flying high one day, sis, above it all." Those hunts weren't just for food in their lean household. They were lessons in patience, precision, and survival, bonding the family in ways words couldn't capture. The conflicts simmered beneath the surface, bubbling up in moments like the briefing sessions. One sweltering morning in the command tent, maps spread out like battle plans. Sergeant Vega, a burly veteran with a chip on his shoulder, let loose a mocking laugh that echoed off the canvas walls. "Don't let Doc Carter anywhere near a gun," he sneered, his eyes flicking toward her with dismissiveness. "She only knows how to patch wounds. Women of color like you should stay in the rear, raising kids where you belong." The room fell silent, the air thick with tension. Naomi felt a heat rise in her chest, her fist clenching under the table as if to crush the injustice in her palm. The words hit like a slap, evoking the same discrimination her father endured, the barriers that told her she was less because of her gender, her race, her role as a mother. But she remembered his wisdom. Discrimination doesn't define you, Naomi. Your actions will change it. She held her tongue, her sharp eyes meeting Vega's with unyielding calm, refusing to let him diminish her. Instead, she channeled that fire into her work, caring for her teammates like the family she missed so dearly. After long shifts, she'd sit with the wounded, sharing stories from her Georgia childhood, the freedom of running barefoot through fields, the warmth of community barbecues, where folks of all colors gathered, despite the divides. "Back home," she'd say softly, "we learned that everyone's got a story worth hearing. My dad taught me that." Even exhausted from the dual pull of motherhood and mission, late-night calls home to hear Elijah's sleepy voice recounting his day at kindergarten, Naomi persisted. "I'm here to save lives," she'd smile through the fatigue, her voice steady as a heartbeat, "because in the end, everyone is equal before death. Black, white, man, woman, we all bleed the same, and we all deserve a fighting chance." It was her mantra, a bridge over the chasms of prejudice, quietly building alliances in a world that too often forgot the power of unity. The routine of the base shattered one crisp dawn when the orders came down like a thunderclap. Mission Blackstone Dune, a rescue operation in a treacherous desert canyon riddled with jagged rocks and hidden perils. The objective was clear: extract hostages held by enemy forces in the shadowed depths of Black Dune, a place where the sun baked the earth by day and winds whispered secrets by night. Intelligence briefs painted a picture of light resistance, scattered patrols easily outmaneuvered by the SEALs' precision. But Naomi, ever vigilant in her medical tent, sensed something amiss as she examined a fresh casualty from a recent skirmish. The soldier's wound was clean but telling, the bullet fragment she extracted with steady tweezers gleaming under her lamp. Not the crude, mass-produced ammo of local rebels, but finely crafted, with markings that spoke of high-end manufacturing. The metallic tang of blood mixed with the sterile scent of antiseptic as she held it up, her mind racing through ballistic patterns she'd studied in quiet hours. "This isn't right," Naomi murmured to herself, turning the shard between her fingers. It was professional ammunition, the kind used by international mercenaries, hired guns with no loyalty but to the highest bidder. Her heart quickened. If these were pros, the mission was walking into a viper's nest. She bandaged the soldier quickly, her thoughts drifting to Elijah Jr. back home, his small voice on the last video call asking, "When you coming back, Mommy? I miss your stories." The pull of motherhood tugged at her, a reminder that every risk here echoed across oceans to her boy's waiting arms. But duty called, and she couldn't ignore the signs. Slipping the fragment into her pocket for later analysis, Naomi sought out Hayes, the white soldier who'd once joined in the teasing but now showed flickers of respect after seeing her work. In the dim light of the armory, where the smell of gun oil hung heavy, she approached him as he cleaned his rifle. "Hayes," she whispered, her voice low but urgent, "look at this. It's from the wound I treated earlier. Professional ammunition, not rebel junk. Someone's hunting us, coordinated and deadly. And maybe someone on the inside knows more than they're saying." Hayes paused, his blue eyes widening in surprise as he examined the shard. The man who'd mocked her as just a bandage carrier now saw the depth in her gaze, the analytical mind honed by years of overcoming odds. "Damn, Doc, you know a lot about this stuff, huh? More than most of us grunts. But knowing bullets is one thing. Can you shoot 'em?" His tone held a mix of curiosity and challenge, a bridge forming where prejudice once stood. Naomi hesitated, her fingers instinctively brushing the bullet casing necklace hidden beneath her collar, its familiar weight a silent anchor. Memories surged. The river hunts with Marcus, the lessons in breath and aim. But she pushed them down, her vow echoing like a distant vow. "I know enough," she replied steadily, meeting his eyes with the quiet fire her father had instilled. "And if it comes to it, I'll prove it. We're all in this together, Hayes. No room for division when lives are on the line." He nodded slowly, a spark of alliance igniting. In that moment, the barriers of race and role began to crack, hinting at the equality her family had fought for. But the question lingered, unspoken yet heavy. Who was really behind this? A larger betrayal network, perhaps woven with threads of internal discrimination, favoring some over others in the shadows of command. The thought chilled her, promising dangers beyond the canyon walls. As the team geared up under the first rays of dawn, the air crisp with anticipation and the faint scent of diesel from the Humvees, Naomi shouldered her medical bag, its straps familiar yet burdensome. Worry for her son gnawed at her. Would he understand if she didn't return? The convoy rolled out, dust kicking up like ghosts in their wake, snaking toward Black Dune's gaping maw. The canyon loomed, its red rock cliffs casting long shadows that hid unseen eyes. Naomi trailed the lead assault group, her role clear. Stay back, treat the injured, evacuate if needed. But as they advanced deeper, the first cracks in the intel appeared. A sudden crack split the air. Not random fire, but precise, echoing off the walls like judgment. Sergeant Blake crumpled first, a bloom of red on his shoulder as he hit the sand. "Man down!" The cry went up, chaos erupting in bursts of gunfire. Naomi's instincts kicked in. She sprinted forward, ignoring Captain Vance's barked order. "Medic, fall back." Bullets whined past, one grazing her sleeve with a hot kiss, the acrid smell of cordite filling her lungs. These weren't stray shots, they targeted her, the healer, as if to cripple the team's lifeline. Kneeling beside Blake, she pressed gauze to his wound, her hands steady despite the storm. But her mind dissected the assault. Subsonic rounds, suppressed from elevated positions northeast. "Sniper northeast, 800 meters out," she shouted, her voice cutting through the din like a blade. The team returned fire, but the bullets kept coming, herding them into a kill zone where the canyon narrowed. Hayes staggered next, spun by a hit to his leg, blood soaking the sand. Time seemed to stretch, the world narrowing to heartbeats. Naomi's vow not to kill thundered in her ears, a promise born of loss, sworn never to take life again. But here, with her comrades falling like dominoes, the weight crushed her. Her son needed her alive. These men, her makeshift family, deserved to see their own homes again. Eyes locking on Blake's discarded SR-25 rifle, its stock cool and inviting, she reached out. The posture returned unbidden, from those long-ago hunts, cheek to stock, breath slowing, remembering her dad's voice amid the river's murmur. "You are an eagle, Naomi, fly high above the prejudice, see what others miss." Deep breath in, hold, out, hold. In that pause, stillness found her. Shot 1, the lead sniper toppled from his perch. Shot 2, his spotter slumped, binoculars tumbling. Shot 3, the final shadow vanished behind rock, silenced forever. Only 12 seconds, but the canyon fell quiet, the air thick with awe and dust. Her teammates gaped, weapons lowering as they stared at the unassuming medic who'd become a phantom. "Who are you really, Doc?" Blake rasped, pain etching his face, but wonder in his eyes. "And what's the secret behind that necklace?" The question hung, a hook pulling deeper into the mystery, leaving everyone, audience included, wondering, who is she really? This woman who turned from healer to guardian in a heartbeat. The echo of those 3 shots lingered in the canyon like a ghost, the acrid smoke curling around Naomi as reality crashed back in. Her hands trembled violently, the SR-25 slipping from her grasp to thud into the sand. Panic surged through her like a tidal wave, her chest heaving as tears blurred her vision. "Nell? No, I swore I'd never shoot again," she gasped, her voice breaking on the words, "because of Marcus." The name escaped her lips like a confession, heavy with the weight of years unspoken. She slumped to her knees beside the rifle, hands clutching her head as if to hold back the flood of memories. The vow she'd made in the aftermath of her brother's death, a solemn promise whispered over his grave, vowing to heal rather than harm, now lay shattered at her feet. How had she broken it so swiftly? The stillness she'd found in those 12 seconds evaporated, replaced by a storm of guilt and regret. Her mind replayed the triggers pulled, the lives ended, each one a violation of the healer she'd become. Elijah Jr.'s face flashed before her, her innocent boy, waiting for a mother who might return stained by violence. What kind of example was she now? The canyon walls seemed to close in, the desert heat pressing down, amplifying the inner turmoil that threatened to consume her. As the team regrouped in the sudden hush, dust settling like a veil over the fallen enemies, divisions cracked open among the men. Hayes, clutching his bandaged leg, pushed himself up on one elbow, his face a mix of awe and gratitude. "Doc, Naomi," he said, his voice rough but earnest, "you saved us all. 3 shots, 3 down, like something out of legend. And you did it regardless of skin color or gender. Hell, you just proved we're all warriors here, no matter what." His words carried a newfound respect, bridging the gap from his earlier teasing to genuine alliance. In Hayes, Naomi saw a glimpse of the equality her father had marched for, a white soldier acknowledging her strength, not diminishing it. But not everyone shared that view. Sergeant Vega, wiping sweat from his brow, sneered from where he stood, his rifle still at the ready. "A woman of color holding a gun like that? You violated every rule in the book, Carter. Medics patch up, they don't play hero. What, you think pulling triggers makes you one of us? Stick to your bandages before you get us all court-martialed." His tone dripped with disdain, the prejudice raw and unfiltered, echoing the discriminations that had haunted her family for generations. Those words struck Naomi like shrapnel, touching the deep-seated pain inherited from her father. The veteran denied dignity because of his hue, the civil rights fighter who taught her to rise above hate. Vega's sneer reopened old wounds, reminding her of the whispers in Georgia's schools, the barriers in boot camp where her gender and race marked her as other. Yet, even as tears streamed down her face, mingling with the grit of the desert, Naomi stood firm. She rose slowly, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand, her voice steady despite the quake within. "I saved you all," she said, looking from Hayes to Vega and the others, "because of equality in battle. Out here, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, man or woman. We bleed the same, we fight for the same flag. My dad taught me that justice sees the heart, not the skin. If breaking my vow kept you alive, then I'd do it again. We're family now, whether you like it or not." Her words hung in the air, a quiet defiance that challenged the divisions, planting seeds of unity in the fertile ground of shared survival. The team shifted uneasily, some nodding with Hayes, others murmuring under Vega's glare, the rift exposing the fragile bonds of their unit. Amid the tension, Naomi's analytical mind refused to rest. Kneeling to check Hayes's wound again, her fingers brushed something in her pocket. The bullet fragment from earlier. Pulling it out, she examined it closer under the rising sun, her breath catching. Etched faintly into the metal, almost invisible without scrutiny, was a series of codes and markings that formed a crude map, lines indicating sniper positions, angles overlapping like a web of death. What did it mean? A pattern of attacks, perhaps revealing a larger strategy? And why did it stir a familiar dread, echoing details from Marcus's final mission? The thought linked the present horror to her brother's unsolved end, hinting at connections deeper than coincidence. Could this be related to his death, a thread pulling her back into the shadows she'd fled? The discovery fueled her inner conflict, a mini hook dangling unanswered, urging her forward even as guilt held her back. The etched code on that bullet fragment lingered in Naomi's mind like a half-remembered dream, stirring echoes of a past she'd buried deep. As the team patched their wounds in the canyon's uneasy calm, her thoughts drifted back, the desert fading into the lush greens of Georgia childhood. It was there, amid the poverty that gripped their family like kudzu vines, that Marcus had become her mentor, her protector, her guiding star. Older by 5 years, with a lanky frame and eyes that sparkled with mischief and wisdom, Marcus was the one who turned survival into lessons of the soul. Their hunts weren't mere necessities to put food on the table during lean winters. They were rituals of bonding, where the whisper of the wind through pines carried secrets of life and loss. Naomi could almost feel the damp earth under her knees again, the rifle's stock pressing against her shoulder as Marcus knelt beside her, his voice steady and warm. "Listen to your heartbeat, little sis," he'd say, his hand gently adjusting her grip. "Find the stillness between the beats. That's where the world slows, where you see clear and true." The air would be thick with the scent of moss and river mud, the distant call of mockingbirds, punctuating his words. Growing up in that shotgun house on the outskirts of town where money was scarce but love abundant, they hunted deer and rabbit to stretch the pantry. Their father, Elijah Sr., would join when his war-scarred body allowed, his gravelly voice weaving in the bigger picture. "Justice doesn't discriminate by skin color, kids. It sees the effort, the heart. We fight for what's right, like I did in Nam and on those marches with Dr. King." Marcus built on that, turning marksmanship into metaphor. Between those beats, Naomi, that's where you shoot accurately, protect the innocent, never for spite. The gun's just a tool. Your spirit decides its purpose. Those afternoons by the Georgia River forged an unbreakable bond. Marcus, with his easy laugh and unyielding sense of right, taught her not just to aim, but to read the world. The shift of leaves betraying wind direction, the subtle signs of a target's fear. He was her spotter in life, calling out dangers before they struck, shielding her from the neighborhood bullies who taunted their family's color or poverty. "You're an eagle, sis." He'd grin, pointing to the birds soaring overhead. "Fly high, see what others miss." Their father reinforced it all, sharing stories of Vietnam's jungles and Selma's streets, where equality was a battle won inch by inch. "We don't just survive," Dad would say over meager dinners of venison stew, the flickering kerosene lamp casting shadows on his lined face. "We lift each other up. That's the American way. Equal before the law, equal in the fight." But the reveal of Marcus's fate cut like a knife through those golden memories. It happened on a mission in Eastern Europe, a hostage rescue gone to hell in a crumbling school-turned-war zone. Marcus, now a decorated sniper in special ops, had taken overwatch on a rooftop, his scope sweeping for threats. Naomi, his spotter and shadow, relayed coordinates from a hidden vantage, her voice calm over the radio despite the pounding heart. Militants had herded civilians, children no older than Elijah Jr. would one day be, into human shields, their cries piercing the night. Marcus cleared paths with precision. 17 confirmed kills that day, each one a militant who thought innocence was weakness. "Protect the innocent," he muttered, echoing his own teachings as he fired. Then the RPG hit, a streak of fire slamming into his position. The building shuddered and collapsed in a roar of dust and debris. Naomi watched through her scope, freezing her as she scrambled to his side. She held him amid the rubble, his blood soaking her hands, the metallic scent mixing with the chaos of gunfire. "Marcus, no," she cried, tears carving tracks through the grime on her face. His eyes, fading but fierce, locked on hers. "Sis, between the beats, find your stillness. Protect, like we taught." He pressed the bullet casing into her palm, the one from their first successful hunt, his final breath a whisper of love and legacy. That day, as medevac choppers thrummed overhead, Naomi swore over his body. "Brother, I won't kill anymore. I'll heal, not harm." The loss shattered her, a void that no medal could fill. She erased her sniper records, buried her medals in the Georgia soil beside his grave, and enrolled in medical school to atone. Becoming a medic was her redemption, a way to butoy, as she called it, in quiet moments, balancing the scales by saving lives instead of taking them. Motherhood followed. Elijah Jr., a living continuation of the legacy, his wide eyes a mirror of Marcus's spirit. Yet even in atonement, doubts crept in. Marcus's death held unusual details. An old authorization letter found in his effects, cryptic and unsealed, hinting at missions beyond the official story. What did it mean? A setup? A betrayal? The questions haunted her, not yet clear. A loop pulling her deeper into the past as the present demanded answers. The ghosts of Marcus's lessons faded as Naomi snapped back to the harsh reality of Black Dune, where the past fueled her resolve, but the present tested it relentlessly. The team pressed on. The canyon's unforgiving terrain, a gauntlet of sandstorms and shadows, each step a reminder that survival demanded more than skill. It required heart. Naomi overcame test after test, her body and spirit pushed to the brink. In one brutal ambush, as the sun dipped low and painted the rocks in blood-red hues, enemy fire rained down like judgment. A bullet grazed her arm, hot and searing, blood welling up to stain the eagle tattoo inked on her skin. A symbol of freedom etched there in honor of her father, the veteran who soared above discrimination's chains. The ink blurred under the crimson flow, a poignant reminder of his words. "Fly high, daughter. Let no one clip your wings." Pain lanced through her, but she bit it back, wrapping a quick tourniquet around the wound while returning to her feet. The injury was a badge of endurance, mirroring the scars her family bore from generations of struggle. Mockery followed swiftly, venomous words from those still clinging to old divides. As she staggered to cover, a voice, perhaps Vega's or another's echoing his bias, cut through the gunfire. "Women like you don't belong on the battlefield, Carter. Go home to raise your kid where you fit." The taunt struck deeper than the bullet, evoking the prejudices that had shadowed her life. The sidelong glances at a black single mother in uniform, the whispers questioning her place among warriors. It hurt, stirring the fire of her father's civil rights battles, but Naomi refused to falter. "I belong wherever lives need saving," she shot back inwardly, her actions speaking louder as she dragged a fallen comrade to safety. These tests forged her, turning doubt into defiance, proving that strength wasn't defined by gender or color, but by the will to protect. Amid the trials, a new ally emerged, a beacon of hope in the storm. Young SEAL soldier Hernandez, with his Latin roots tracing back to the sun-baked fields of Mexico, stepped forward during a rare lull in the fighting. His dark eyes held a kindred understanding as he helped her redress her wound, his voice soft yet firm. "You saved our brothers back there, Doc. We're family now. No discrimination here. I've been where you are, judged for my heritage, my accent, but the law gives us a chance, right? Equal under it, fighting side by side." Naomi nodded, a tentative smile breaking through her pain. They shared stories under the starlit sky, the crackle of a small fire warding off the desert chill. Hernandez spoke of his Mexican mother, a fierce woman who crossed borders for a better life, enduring slurs and hardships to raise him strong. "She taught me familia is everything," he said, "no matter the walls people build." Naomi opened up in return, recounting her Vietnam vet father's marches with Dr. King, the fireside tales of justice and resilience. "He said hate can't win if we stand together," she shared, her voice warming with the memory. These exchanges built sibling-like bonds, inspiring them to overcome prejudice with empathy. Warm moments like these balanced the pain, bringing hope. A quiet laugh over shared hardships, a pat on the back that transcended race. In Hernandez, Naomi found not just an ally, but a mirror of her own journey, reinforcing that equality thrived in unity. Yet shadows lurked within the team itself, a hidden enemy sowing discord. Captain Vance, with his clipped orders and suspicious eyes that lingered too long on Naomi, harbored jealousy like a festering wound. He saw her as an outsider, a woman of color, a single mother daring to stand out among the men, her skills challenging his authority. His strange commands, like rerouting patrols into riskier paths, hinted at ulterior motives, his gaze cold whenever she spoke up. Vance's resentment simmered, rooted in the same biases that had plagued her father, viewing her rise as a threat to the old order. The tensions culminated in a heart-pounding mini-climax. Another sniper ambush, bullets whistling like vengeful spirits. Naomi nearly died, a round clipping her side, blood once more staining the eagle tattoo in a cruel twist of fate. She hit the ground hard, vision blurring, but adrenaline surged. Spotting Hernandez pinned down, wounded and exposed, she stood up against the pain, dashing through the crossfire. With quick, practiced hands, she bandaged his injury, stemming the flow as suppressive fire covered them. "Hang on, brother," she urged, her voice a lifeline. As they reached safety, Hernandez pulled her into a fierce hug, like a sister long lost. "You're a true warrior, Naomi," he whispered, tears in his eyes. "You didn't have to, but you did." The friendship touched the heart deeply, a reminder that equality came from compassion, from seeing the human in each other amid the chaos. In that embrace, hope flickered brighter, a testament to bonds that no prejudice could break. With the sting of the ambush still fresh and Hernandez's grateful hug lingering like a shield against the doubt, the team hunkered down in a makeshift outpost carved from the canyon's unforgiving stone. The big battle loomed ahead, a storm on the horizon as intelligence crackled over the radio. Enemy forces massing at the bunker's heart, the innermost cave where hostages awaited rescue and truths hid in shadows. Preparations unfolded in tense rhythm. Weapons cleaned with mechanical clicks, maps unfurled under flickering lanterns, the air thick with the metallic scent of oil and sweat. Naomi, her arm bandaged but her spirit unbowed, took her place among them. No longer just the medic, but a voice they heeded. The eagle tattoo, now cleaned of blood, seemed to pulse with renewed purpose, a talisman of freedom urging her deeper into the fray. Seizing a moment of quiet amid the bustle, Naomi spread out the bullet fragment on a rock, its etched map glowing faintly under her flashlight. Her fingers traced the lines, sniper positions, overlapping fields of fire, trajectories that betrayed intimate knowledge of their movements. "This isn't random," she murmured to Hernandez, who knelt beside her, his presence a steady anchor. "Someone in the team leaked our positions. Look at these patterns, they match our patrols exactly. And the codes, they reek of discrimination, favoring routes that expose outsiders like us first." Her voice hardened, the analysis sharpening her focus. The map wasn't just a tactical puzzle, it was a web of betrayal, perhaps rooted in the same prejudices that Vega voiced and Vance embodied. It echoed her father's warnings of hidden enemies within, those who undermined equality from the shadows. As she connected dots to potential command posts 3 clicks north, a chill ran through her. Could this tie back to Marcus's fate, the unusual authorization letter hinting at internal sabotage in his final mission? The identity of the traitor remained shrouded, a loop tightening around her heart. Related to that cryptic letter, perhaps a clue to a larger conspiracy that claimed her brother and now threatened her found family. Suspicion flickered toward Vance, his odd orders aligning too neatly with the map's traps. Yet revelation waited in the cave's depths, pulling Naomi forward. With the team arming for the assault, she steeled herself, whispering her father's mantra, "Justice sees the heart." The battle ahead wasn't just for hostages, it was for truth, for breaking chains of betrayal and bias. Hope mingled with dread as they moved out, the canyon whispering warnings, the innermost cave beckoning like destiny. The approach to the bunker's maw felt like descending into the Earth's fiery core, the air growing thick with dust and dread as the team breached the fortified entrance. Gunfire erupted in a deafening symphony, bullets ricocheting off concrete walls like angry hornets, the acrid bite of gunpowder searing nostrils. Flashbangs lit the dim corridors in stark white bursts, shadows dancing wildly as SEALs advanced, clearing rooms with practiced fury. Naomi, rifle in hand despite her vow's lingering echo, moved with them, her medical bag slung over one shoulder, a symbol of her dual role. The bunker was a labyrinth of betrayal, echoes of the map's warnings now manifest in ambushes that claimed lives too swiftly. Haze covered her left, Hernandez her right, their bond a fragile light in the chaos. Deep in the heart, where the air hung heavy with the scent of fear and confinement, Vance called a halt in a central chamber. Hostages huddled in cages, their wide eyes pleading, but something fractured in Vance's demeanor. His commands faltered, his eyes darting like a cornered animal. Then, revelation struck like a grenade. Mercenaries flooded in, not as enemies, but allies to him. Vance spun, pistol drawn, his face twisting in a sneer of triumph and hate. "It's over," he barked, signaling his turncoats to disarm the team. "I sold the intel for money, yes, but mostly to clean up this mess. A woman of color, a single mother like you, Carter? You don't deserve to lead, to stand equal among us. You're an outsider, diluting the ranks. I clean up the team, rid it of weaknesses like you." His words dripped venom, rooted in discrimination's poison, echoing the barriers Naomi's father had shattered. The team gasped, betrayal cutting deeper than any bullet. Vance, their captain, had fed them to the wolves for prejudice and profit. Naomi lunged, but hands seized her, ropes binding her wrists, her rifle kicked away. Disarmed and on her knees, she faced him, heart pounding with rage and resolve. The chamber tensed, teammates restrained, the air electric with shock. But Vance's gloat was his undoing. As he loomed, monologuing his twisted justice, Naomi's fingers found the bullet-casing necklace, Marcus's gift, sharp-edged from years of touch. With a twist born of desperation and training, she sawed through the ropes, the metal biting into skin, but freeing her in seconds. Springing up, she charged Vance hand to hand, a whirlwind of strikes, elbow to jaw, knee to gut, taking him down in a flurry before the stunned teammates and mercenaries. "I fight for equality," she declared, standing over him, voice ringing clear. "The law is fair to all. No one stands above it. Not you, not prejudice." The words ignited the room. Teammates broke free, turning the tide in a blaze of righteous fury. In the bunker's aftermath, amid the haze of smoke and subdued mercenaries, Naomi stepped forward with unyielding calm. She laid out the bullet fragments and etched map on a makeshift table, her voice steady as she connected the dots. "These prove Vance's plot," she declared, pointing to the codes aligning with their leaked positions. He collaborated with an international network of hired guns, exploiting discrimination to hide his tracks, targeting outsiders like me to cover his greed. The evidence was irrefutable. Timestamps, coordinates, even encrypted messages linking him to foreign paymasters who thrived on division. The team listened, eyes widening as the web unraveled, Vance's betrayal laid bare like a wound cleansed. The SEALs turned to her with newfound reverence. Hayes clasped her shoulder. "You saved us, Sister Eagle, body and soul." Hernandez nodded, the nickname from her tattoo now a badge of honor, symbolizing unity soaring above prejudice. Whispers of awe rippled through, but suspicious eyes lingered, Vega's glare a remnant of old biases. Yet justice prevailed. A quick radio to command initiated an investigation, the law clearing Naomi swiftly, affirming equality's shield. In that moment, her atonement felt complete, a healer's victory in a warrior's world. With Vance subdued and the bunker secured, the victory's glow faded into the grim reality of extraction. A tense withdrawal battle through the canyon's jaws, where enemy reinforcements swarmed like vengeful shadows. The air thrummed with urgency, distant explosions rumbling like thunder as the team hustled the freed hostages toward evac choppers hovering on the horizon. Wounded comrades leaned on each other, their steps labored under the relentless sun, the scent of blood and sweat a constant companion. Naomi, her hands still tingling from the hand-to-hand clash, volunteered for overwatch, climbing a jagged ridge to cover their retreat. Rifle scoped and steady, she became the guardian eagle, her tattoo a silent vow amid the chaos. Each of the 20 accurate shots she fired was a calculated whisper of protection, holding the path open for the wounded to limp through. The first neutralized a flanking scout, his silhouette crumpling in the distance. The second silenced a machine gun nest spitting fire. As bullets whizzed past her position, Naomi's breath synced with Marcus's old lesson. Between heartbeats, stillness reigned, but each pull of the trigger reminded her of Elijah Jr., waiting at home, his small face in her mind's eye urging her to survive. "For you, baby," she whispered with the 10th shot, dropping an advancing foe. The 20th sealed their escape, a final echo clearing the way as the last hostage boarded. Teammates called up to her in the fray, voices cutting through the din. "Sister Eagle's got our backs," Hayes shouted, Hernandez echoing with a whoop. The nickname, born from her tattoo, now symbolized non-discriminatory unity. A black single mother, a Latin soldier, white comrades bound not by color or gender, but by shared trials and trust. It was a road back not just to base, but to a renewed sense of family, where equality wasn't words but actions etched in the sand. Back at base, the dust of Black Dunes settled, but Naomi's journey peaked in resurrection before the command council. The room hummed with division. Punish her for breaking her medic's vow, or reward the lives saved? Whispers of violation clashed with tales of heroism, biases surfacing like old scars. Then the final twist. A search of Vance's effects unearthed Marcus's old authorization letter, yellowed and sealed. Naomi was originally chosen as my spotter, it read, his handwriting steady. She is the protector, heart of a healer, eye of an eagle. Trust her to safeguard the innocent. The words echoed his teachings, affirming her path. Naomi stood tall, tears glistening. She was not just medic or sniper, but protector, comprehensive, balancing the tender mother cradling Elijah Jr. with the warrior defending her found family. In that revelation, she rose renewed, embodying the equality her father fought for, a beacon where roles merged in service to all. With the council's verdict echoing like a benediction, Naomi returned to the familiar rhythm of base life, slinging her medical bag over her shoulder once more, a humble elixir of healing in a world forever changed. The tent's canvas flapped gently in the breeze, the scent of antiseptic mingling with the earth's dusty embrace, as she restocked supplies with hands that had wielded both scalpel and rifle. Her teammates, once divided by shadows of doubt, now saw her as family, their bonds forged in the crucible of Black Dune. Hayes and Hernandez led the way, gathering small tokens, a carved wooden eagle from Blake, a sketch of the team from Vega, even a care package of toys and letters for Elijah Jr. For your boy, Hayes said, his voice thick with emotion. Proof we're all in this together. Love beyond prejudice, Doc, beyond color, beyond roles. The gestures proved it. A single mother of color, embraced not despite her differences, but because her strength had lifted them all, embodying the equality that turned strangers into kin. In a quiet moment alone, Naomi touched her necklace, now adorned with 2 bullet casings, the original from Marcus, etched with lessons of stillness, and a new one from the mission, symbolizing her rebirth as protector. The metal warmed against her skin, a close-up of legacy and triumph, 2 pieces uniting healer and guardian in harmony. Sometimes, to save people, you must step out of the role society assigns, for equality, for love, for the American dream, where everyone is equal before the law, with no discrimination by gender, race, or skin color. If you've ever crossed boundaries to protect loved ones, like a civil rights veteran marching for justice or a single mother sacrificing all, share your story below. Your voice adds to the tapestry of resilience that binds us.